Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mark from the States. How are we doing today? I'm doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming. I've got a big fake couch. You know what to do. It's big, it's fake, right? Today we have a new channel. Blessed that the original content creator has given his permission for us to learn from one of his videos. This has come requested, so awesome. So with that in mind, of course, please, let's all go support the original content creator. If you have one like and one subscription to give, I encourage you, I beg you, to get over there and give it to Crazy About Castles. That's the name of the channel. Today's video is The Castle with a Real Horror Story, Tales of Carlisle Castle. So I'm excited to learn something today. Hopefully you will all learn something as well. Just a reminder, tomorrow, check the times. I think I set it for 7 o'clock my time in the morning. It's a live stream that we do monthly. If you don't know what that is, every month we do a live stream just to kind of catch up and say hello. We're not solving the world's problems in the live stream, so it's just for fun. It's talk about things. It's one of the things I love about the live stream is a lot of the people that come, and it's not a terrible amount of people that come. It's 14 or so, but we would love, if you've never been, to come and drop by and say hello. But one of the things I love is the fact that a lot of you get to reconnect with others. And I can just sit and read your guys' conversation, which is enjoyable. But yeah, so 7 o'clock my time, which would put it at 3 o'clock over where you're at, I believe, if my maths are correct. So yeah, that's tomorrow. But today, we're going to be learning about Carlisle Castle. I believe I may have done a video at least that references Carlisle Castle, or but I may have done a video on Carlisle Castle that has since been on the channel, that may have been during the purge. So I'm excited to see this. You know I'm going to learn something. And one of the greatest things about doing learning of these videos is the comments and emails after, which I get a ton of more information and more context to what I'm watching. So thank you in advance for everyone who is participating in helping me learn about castles. I love castles. Who doesn't? But my knowledge on them, very small. So every video I watch on a castle, I'm definitely learning something new, and I expect today to be no different. So with that in mind, let's get into it, shall we? All right, let's do it.
Carlisle Castle, history's fiercest sieges, the grotesque licking stones, and the malevolent spirit of this skeleton that has been known to frighten people to death.
I'm loving the video so far.
Let's explore why this castle's history stands as one of the most epic narratives in medieval England, from fending off malevolent spirits to recounting gruesome survival stories, the legendary football song crafted by condemned souls, and its pivotal role in the Jacobite Wars. Carlisle Castle is a medieval keep castle built in the late 11th century. By 1122, the castle was fortified in stone. Over its nearly 1,000-year history, Carlisle Castle was the site of numerous bloody sieges, 72 Anno Domini. The Fort Carlisle Castle, the very bluff it proudly perches upon, was once home to a mighty Roman fort, cementing this location as a true stronghold and one of the most vital military centers throughout the entirety of Roman Britain. 1092. Carlisle Castle, a magnificent creation of William Rufus, rose from the rugged landscape, most probably crafted from sturdy timber. It emerged as a beacon of strength, strategically guarding the commanding bluff between the River Eden and the flowing River Caldu. 1122. Following an epic journey to Carlisle Castle, the formidable Henry I, thirsting for greater might, issued a thrilling decree to fortify the castle. While shrouded in mystery, legend whispers that it was during this enigmatic era that the indomitable keep, the heart of the castle's strength, may have risen to its awe-inspiring heights. 1135. Behold the grand tale of David, the mighty King of Scotland, who seized the reins of power over Carlisle Castle. Hints in the annals of history tantalizingly suggest that it was under his watchful eye that the resplendent keep was constructed. Yet, the age-old mystery lingers. Did he complete the formidable work begun by Henry I, or did he, in a flourish of his own sovereign might, bestow upon the world the entire glory of the keep? 1157. In the reign of the resolute King Henry II, England's dominion started to surge, casting its colossal shadow across the land. And when the time came for David to depart this world, his successor, the valiant Malcolm IV, made an audacious demand, ordering the Scots to relinquish their hold on the formidable fortress of Carlisle. It was in the wake of this momentous decree that the castle returned to the embrace of English sovereignty, and its might was magnificently bolstered once more. 1170s. Carlisle Castle bore witness to the indomitable spirit of King William I, who seized its reins with unyielding resolve. In the crucible of his rule, the Scots, driven by unrelenting audacity, twice unleashed their fury upon the fortress, seeking to lay siege to its hallowed grounds. Yet, like a titan standing tall in the face of adversity, King William I stood firm, his unwavering determination safeguarding the castle from the relentless Scottish onslaught. The colossal curtain walls, imposing, were once encircled by a formidable moat, its waters reflecting the grandeur above. The very earthworks supporting these colossal walls still stand today. The gatehouse, in its original form, may have been a fraction of its current imposing size. However, even then, any invading force would have faced the daunting task of crossing a perilous bridge to assail the gates, bracing for a fierce confrontation. In those bygone times, a Scottish siege would likely entail a relentless castle blockade, with Scottish forces laboring to construct crude but effective battering rams and ladders. Yet, the monumental castle walls would remain an insurmountable barrier, standing resolute against all attempts to breach its formidable defenses. 1186. In the wake of the Scottish assaults, King Henry II graced Carlisle Castle with his majestic presence, breathing new life and grandeur into its very essence. His reign marked an era of transformation as the once mighty fortress expanded and evolved. During this resplendent epoch, the inner ward was birthed, ushering forth the birth of a palace complex that would stand as a testament to royal opulence and timeless resilience. 1200s. Enter the illustrious King John, a masterful visionary who breathed fresh life into the venerable Carlisle Castle through a series of grand renovations.
Wow, okay. A lot of information coming at you pretty quick. This is awesome. Loving the video so far. One of the things, of course, being a very novice at castles of the histories and stuff like that, when I think of castles, I've always thought of them out of stone, some sort of stonework. Hearing how this began its time, and maybe all castles began their time as wooden forts or made out of timber, which totally, I get it, you know. This thing's been around for a long time. But just seeing what we're looking at now is really impressive. And so that's like the first thing is this thing used to be made out of wood. That's crazy. Two, the location is just perfect. How most castles are sitting up higher than most of the land around it. I get it. But just, I love the shape of it. yes, the keep is very noticeable, and it's just, it's like some have told me it's the perfect castle. I'm not saying that, but this is what I've been told. And certainly, if you're just going based on location and just it's impressive. It's not. We've watched a lot of videos on castles. It may not be the most opulent looking or castle-y. I think I'm making that word up. You know, when you think of a castle, you're thinking of, something out of King Arthur or something with with the towers and so on and so forth. But it's the functionality of this thing. It's impressive in that regard. So it's just his timeline, and we're just hitting all these. Of course, it's going to be wanted by the Scots, the English. Obviously, it's in the location. My son, and many of you already know this, he visited the UK last year, and he visited a castle in Wales. I forget the name, as I do, in northern Wales there, and then it's a pretty famous one. And then from there, they took a bus ride on his way to Edinburgh. He got on the bus, and they went by Carlisle. Now, I don't know if this is anywhere, and I had asked him, I go, keep an eye out for Carlisle Castle, because I don't know if it's something you could see from the highway, the freeway, the motorway, whatever we're calling it. If it's something you could see off in the distance or something like that. But you go right but through Carlisle on your way into Scotland, and I don't think he took that as like, yeah, whatever, Dad. I'm sure he was on his phone, and it's a bus ride, and the bus ride from this castle they just visited on their way to Edinburgh was a long bus ride, so I can't imagine he was just glued to looking out the window the whole time. But I like to think so, maybe. But I mean, he was 16, so 15. He hadn't turned 16 yet, 15. So, but spoiler alert, he absolutely loved the trip. And it's funny how over time I get snippets of, oh my gosh, Dad, you wouldn't believe what I saw. When he first got back, I just kept peppering him, but with questions. But over time, he's revealed little secrets along the way. So, pretty fun. Anyway, let's get back into this video.
Enter the illustrious King John, a masterful visionary who breathed fresh life into the venerable Carlisle Castle through a series of grand renovations. He fortified the castle's outer curtain wall and raised the very walls of the inner ward with imposing stone. But alas, destiny took a twist, for a few short years later, the town was ruthlessly assailed by the Scots, and in the face of insurmountable odds, it reluctantly surrendered. The Scots, relentless in their pursuit, laid siege. Yet, the tides of time are fickle, for in the fateful year of 1216, King John's reign came to a close. As if divinely ordained, the Scots, perhaps recognizing the changing of the guard, withdrew their forces, and a shroud of silence fell upon the castle. It languished in a state of abandonment, but more sieges and battles were yet to take place. 1296, in the tumultuous tapestry of the late 13th century, enter Edward I, a formidable monarch whose might reached far and wide. His steely determination led him to lay claim to Carlisle Castle, his presence electrifying its very stones. Also known as Edward Longshanks for his tall and bony build, probably a similar build to someone like Andy Murray. He is the same king depicted in Mel Gibson's Braveheart movie, but as history often unfurls its dramatic tableau, the relentless Scots descended upon the city of Carlisle, their war cries echoing through the land. In this hour of peril, the resolute castellan None other than Robert de Bruce, known to history as Robert the Bruce, emerged as a paragon of unwavering valor. With a grip of iron, he defended the castle, compelling John and his valiant crew to beat a hasty retreat, leaving a trail of heroic echoes in their wake. 1307 to 1315. As the mighty Edward I's reign gave way to the era of his successor, Edward II, a new chapter of ambition and power began to unfurl across England. Determined to extend his dominion, blazed a trail of imperial ambition, unfazed by the shadows of the past. But as the relentless tides of history swept forward, the indomitable Scots once again converged upon the formidable castle. Commanding this audacious venture was none other than the legendary King Robert the Bruce, whose very name struck fear into the hearts of those who dared oppose him. This time, fortune cast her lot with the defenders as the elements conspired in their favor. Unpredictable weather and a dearth of resources became the bane of King Robert's siege, leading it down a path of fateful failure. During this time in England's history comes the story of Andrew Harclays. In a thrilling saga of treachery, Harclay emerged as the indomitable English commander who dared to challenge the formidable walls of Carlisle Castle in a daring siege. His fiery ambition burned with the desire to conquer. But standing between him and glory was none other than the indomitable Robert the Bruce. But Harclay's fiery spirit could not be contained for long. Frustration and resentment coursed through his veins as he witnessed Edward II's feeble leadership in an audacious move that would forever change the course of history.
Could that be the motorway that my son maybe went by? If it is, I mean, I don't know how you miss it. But yeah, just constant battle to take control of this castle. It's wild. There's some castles that have none of this. Now, I imagine their strategic importance is probably, way less than this one. And location is not as important as this would be, but it just seems with every decade we got something else brewing. It's so wild.
He unilaterally brokered a truce with his former adversary, Robert the Bruce. The audacity of this act sent shockwaves through the kingdom and incited the wrath of Edward II. As the tempest of royal fury raged, Harclay found himself marked for doom. Edward II, driven by seething anger, ordered Harclay's immediate arrest, sealing the commander's grim fate. Soon, Harclay met a chilling end at the gallows, his life snuffed out, leaving only a haunting memory. But the story didn't end there. Harclay's lifeless body was gruesomely dismembered, and its pieces scattered far and wide, a macabre warning to anyone who dared to defy the might of the English crown. How frequently have you observed this trope in movies and TV shows? Even in Mel Gibson's Braveheart, there's a subtle reference to it, where the head of the king's relative from York is sent to him in a box. Even though that specific event was fictional, it appears to me that it was inspired by a genuine historical occurrence from the same period. 1461. Amidst the fierce and gruesome clash of the Wars of the Roses, where Lancastrians and Scots locked horns with the relentless Yorkists, the castle stood resolute, its walls unyielding. During this era, the castle would have been a truly imposing sight, boasting a massively fortified outer gatehouse and sprawling defenses along its walls and keep. The attackers not only had to contend with daunting moats and drawbridges, but now they were met with seemingly impregnable walls, leaving them with a thrilling choice: breach the formidable gate or embark on a daring climb over the towering fortifications. 1513. In the wake of their devastating loss at the Battle of Flodden, the Scots were branded as feeble and frail, their fate intertwined with the desolation of Carlisle Castle. But in a dramatic twist, the mid-1500s witnessed a fiery uprising that breathed new life into the nation, compelling the authorities to transform the fortress into a formidable bulwark, bristling with artillery. 1587. Queen Mary of Scotland, exiled from her homeland, found herself ensconced in the storied Warden's Tower, soon to be christened Queen Mary's Tower. This was no ordinary imprisonment. It was a regal sanctuary, where sumptuous feasts and the finest wines graced her stay, turning her confinement into a royal sojourn. Much like the banishment of Queen Isabella at Castle Rising Castle. My video on this can be found in the description. 1596. Enter William Armstrong of Kinmont, the outlaw, ensnared within the menacing confines of Carlisle Castle. But when hordes of fervent Scots, friends, and allies of Armstrong embarked on a daring mission, scaling the fortress walls with ladders and liberating him, the sparks of conflict between England and Scotland were reignited, heralding yet another tumultuous chapter of warfare. 1642 to 1645. Amid the fiery tumult of the English Civil War, in 1642, the valiant royalists seized Carlisle, fortifying its walls with unyielding loyalty. But the tempestuous turn of events 2 years later saw parliamentarian forces laying siege to the city, an epic struggle that endured for a relentless 8 months. 1745 to 1746. Carlisle Castle found itself at the epicenter of a colossal clash, a dramatic showdown between the charismatic Prince Charles Edward Stuart and the formidable George II. Stuart's resolute forces boldly marched upon the city, and the Jacobites swiftly seized control. However, in a breathtaking reversal of fortune, George's valiant son, William Augustus, the indomitable Duke of Cumberland, compelled Stuart's army to retreat northward, leaving behind a resolute garrison of 400 warriors. William Augustus, in an awe-inspiring display of might, boldly reclaimed possession of Carlisle Castle. Yet, in the shadow of this momentous struggle, a grim fate awaited many men on the losing side, as the unforgiving hand of execution loomed large. At this critical juncture, the castle transformed into a formidable fortress, bristling with imposing artillery emplacements. The approaching enemy forces soon found themselves engulfed in a relentless storm of cannon fire, creating a spectacle of thunderous destruction. It's during this era that the horrific legends of the Licking Stones come to life. These enigmatic, out-of-place stones hold a dark and grotesque tale. In the scorching heat of summer.
I'm going to jump back here before we continue, but I find it interesting as we are seeing through the timeline here, not only uniforms of those participating, we'll say, but the weaponry and the technology of warfare is changing and evolving over the time. Here we're now seeing cannons mounted at the castle, along with all the arrows and archers and so on and so forth. It's pretty remarkable, the amount of violence that this place has seen through its history. It's just, and I'm sure there's other castles that are, chock full as well, but just interesting, to say the least.
Of thunderous destruction. It's during this era that the horrific legends of the Licking Stones come to life. These enigmatic, out-of-place stones hold a dark and grotesque tale. In the scorching heat of summer, the castle's dungeons became a hellish prison for Jacobite rebels. The brutal, insufferable conditions pushed these captive souls to extremes as they resorted to licking moisture trickling down the dungeon walls.
Oh, man.
So parched and desperate were these valiant soldiers that they literally licked these stones into smooth oblivion. Also, from this era of Jacobite
Is that true? That's bizarre.
incarceration springs the origins of one of Scotland's most beloved folk songs, a timeless anthem still passionately sung by Scottish football fans to this very day, the Bonnie Banks of Loch Lomond. Unfortunately, I can't play the tune for you due to copyright restrictions, but I can play this melody you hear in the background. Here, I'll even turn it up for you. The song's poignant lyrics resonate with a haunting tale that goes back to two Jacobite captives. They cast lots, one fated to return to their beloved Scotland, while the other destined to embark on a journey home to the afterlife to never see his lover again. The high road symbolizes the fortunate soul sent back alive to their homeland, while the low road signifies the prisoner condemned to meet his fate. It's a story that's etched into the very heart of Scottish culture, and the melody carries the weight of their choices and the enduring spirit of Scotland. 1820s, 1835.
I think I've heard that
Carlisle
song
Castle,
for sure.
once a sentinel of power and might, transformed into a bustling barracks, its outer ward abuzz with the grandeur of progress. In the year 1832, a military hospital was formed on site. Yet, in 1835, even the regal Queen Mary's Tower was gracefully dismantled. During this time was a tale of a medieval spirit so terrifying that it frightened a guard to death. In the year 1842, a brave guard patrolling the castle grounds had an otherworldly encounter. He claimed to have witnessed a specter, a ghostly woman, strolling through the hallowed castle precincts. Approaching her with fearless resolve, he watched in awe as she evaporated into thin air, leaving him with a chilling encounter he would never forget. Legend has it that the shock of his sighting was so immense that he succumbed to fear and passed away shortly after sharing his harrowing experience with his comrades.
Okay.
The legends surrounding this castle's paranormal activity are so compelling that even in the modern age, it found a place in the spotlight, featuring in a spine tingling 2010 episode of Most Haunted. From this point onwards, the castle grounds remained a barracks throughout the world wars, right until the late 20th century, where it is now classed as an ancient monument. This is Castle Rising Castle, haunted by Queen Isabella, stands as a resplendent jewel among England's most opulent fortresses. Its
Is this
past
a
remains
preview of the
intertwined
next
with the
video?
enduring legacy of the British royal family. Brace yourself for an
Wonderful segue there. Well done. Let me jump out. Great video. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Again, I love the timeline. I always talk about the history of where you live. I always make the comment of no matter what direction you walk out your door, you can go in any direction, you're going to find hundreds of years of history. It's also true going down. I just, finding all those centuries of history just going below your feet. I wonder if they've ever excavated around Carlisle at all. Just imagine what is lying around. Just the exorbitant amount of violence at this place is just incredible, and that it stood. It's wild. Also, my country only basically starts entering the story as existing as an actual country totally at the end of the video here in the timeline. So that just gives you, or gives me, I should say, kind of a reference of how old this place is and how important of a location, and whether it would start out as a Roman fort, then made of timber, which is just kind of mind-boggling to think about it, that it was actually got its roots in timber, which I guess maybe all castles did at some point, but I just always, I think of brickwork or masonry somehow, stone, but yeah, it's impressive, and if ever the chance, I would love to see it. Probably not going to happen anytime soon, but who knows? Maybe if I get to go to Scotland, we can dip down and take a look. But good video. So please get over there. If you have one subscription, one like to give, please, I encourage you to go over to Crazy About Castles and to the channel and support them. Okay. Reminder, tomorrow, live stream. Please come by and say hello if you'd like. 7 o'clock my time. I believe it's 3 o'clock, but just double check on the time. I would love to see a lot of you there. And it's a good way for a lot of you who can reconnect with others as well. It's fun, and we just yap it up. That's all. Hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. Yes. And we will see you in the next one. Yeah. All right. Take care.